Oh, I know what it is. I was wondering why it sounds so loud to me. It's because the monitor's up so high. Well, I can definitely hear what I'm saying, then. That's a good thing, I guess. So, it's so good to be here with you. I've been on vacation for a week, so it's really nice to be back. It's nice to be home. It's nice to be with my spiritual family. And so, let's go ahead and just get this God's party on its way, as Reverend Mike would say. So this is Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living, and it's so great to have you here, both those of you who are here with us and those of you who are online. I know that we have probably on this holiday weekend, probably more people are online today than in here. But that's all good. It's why we have that service, is so that people can tune in wherever they are. My husband, Gabriel, might even be online right now down in Mexico. Who knows, you know? So it's so good to be here. I just want to go ahead and say thank you to a few people who are allowing us to put this service on today. I'm going to start with our music team, and I think our musician is out getting a glass of water or something, but our musician for today is Tina Meeks, who you all know and love. And then back here, it sounds like he is double doing, because I think I hear Leon clapping in the back there. So thank you, Leon, for the bass. And he's also doing our sound for us. We have Chris Glick as our music director. And Brian Menifee is on the drums. So we have so much support from a wonderful music team today. I'm so looking forward to hearing the entire song. I've been hearing bits and pieces of it as they practice up this morning. I'm really looking forward to the performances. And we also have a few people here that will be helping me out in other ways. We have Jackie Owens today as our practitioner. She's going to be doing our invocation and reading. And in the back, we have Frederick. He's filling in for Troy, who's on vacation, so he's doing our facilities. And we have Sandra and Dorothy, who are doing our greeting today. Thank you, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll just go for, the next thing, which is our music video. So I invite you all to take a deep breath in with me. Just let that go as we settle into a little video that Gabriel has put together for us today.
Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you, caught up in circles. Confusion is nothing new. Flashback, warm nights almost left behind. Suitcase of memories. Time after, sometimes you picture me. I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me. I can't hear what you've said. Then you say, go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. After my picture fades and darkness has turned to gray, watching through windows, you're wondering if I'm okay. Secrets stolen from deep inside. The drum beats out of time. If If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time.
Well, thank you, Gabriel. If you're watching today, thank you for that video. And so I'd like to start us off first before I ask Jackie to come up by lighting our peace candle. And so I know that with the world as it is showing up presently, I think it's time for us to redouble our own knowing of the peace that is Spirit as the truth of all that there is. And so as we light this candle today, we light it with the understanding and the knowing that that is the truth of each and every one of us. Ooh, that's warm. Just a second. And knowing that that peace that is the truth of us is spreading throughout the world, spreading from here out into the eternity of space, out into the world, knowing absolutely that as we know peace more fully as the truth of our lives, it shows up in the world naturally and effortlessly. And I just say, and so it is. Amen and amen. So now I'd like to ask Jackie to come on up. She's going to do our invocation and reading. Do you guys hear her okay? No. The yellow. Yeah.
Today,
Go ahead and say something, Jackie.
today is the birthday before the birthday of our country,
Coming on all.
July 4th. And it seems to be in such
Oh, there we go.
chaos and non-peace. But there is an answer to this. And my reading today is July 3rd from 365 Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And it's called, I Am Guided by the Wisdom of God. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me. Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 23 and 24. Some universal and infinite intelligence governs everything, holds everything in place, and directs the source of everything. The intelligence that guides the planets in their course is the wisdom that is in the anthill or the beehive. This same wisdom is in the bird that flies north in the summer and south in winter, and knows where to find its food. But that which is blind or instinctive knowing in the animal should become conscious knowing and will in the human. In the animal kingdom, it works as a blind force. And in the human kingdom, it works through blind force only in the automatic reactions of nature, such as the involuntary functions of human body. But the more personal use of it, whether or not we shall call upon the one mind and spirit to direct and govern our affairs, this depends upon our personal choice. This is what freedom and individuality means. Today, I am guided by the wisdom of God in everything I do, say, and think. Since there is nothing large or small in the infinite and divine mind, I know that the same wisdom that governs everything in the universe is brought to bear upon the little things in my personal life. I permit the wisdom action in everything in my life. I affirm the presence of this wisdom and acknowledge its actions in everything in my life. Therefore, I know what to do under every circumstance. I know how to plan my life and direct my path because I recognize the infinite wisdom is doing this for me by doing it through me. There is no uncertainty or confusion in my life. The divine spirit always knows what to do. Therefore, I am never without guidance. There is one wisdom, one intelligence, one mind. I live and move and have my being in this one. My every act, thought, and purpose is guided by this wisdom. Let's take a deep centering breath. Knowing that this one intelligence right now is present right here and right now. There is only one mind, one thought, one intelligence, one creative force, one love. Everything that there is spirit. And because we are part of everything that there is, we are a part of spirit. I am a part of spirit. What spirit is, I am. What I am, spirit is. And knowing this to be the truth of me, I know this to be the truth of each and every person in this world, in this universe, because there is only one. No matter what the outer appearance, spirit is right here, right now, in the midst of everything that is taking place. We have but to recognize and go inside and ask Spirit for guidance. We go inside and ask Spirit for peace, for love, for joy, for wholeness. This is the truth of who we are. And this is the truth of every person on this planet, regardless of how they show up. And knowing this, I speak my word and give grateful thanks for the awareness of who we are and whom's we are. I know that I rest in God, so everyone else rests in God. I give grateful thanks for each and every person who turns to Spirit and who doesn't turn to Spirit, but will one day find that they need this love and this joy in their lives. And so I release this prayer into the law, knowing that Spirit has already said, yes. Yes, I will give you peace. Yes, I will give you wisdom. Yes, I will give you knowledge. And yes, I will give you calm in the midst of chaos. And so I let it be in my life and let it be in all those that hear the sound of my voice. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So now we have an opportunity to just say hi to each other as I ask Tina to come on up to the stage. Yeah. Leon's in the summer. You stole him. Yeah, I stole him for a moment.
Hi, everybody. I don't hear myself in the mic yet. Do I? Can you hear me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. Wonderful to be here. The song that we're going to sing was written by Daniel Nahmod. How many of you know Daniel Nahmod? He's one of the great singers in circles. It was on my heart today to sing it, and I love it. So let's give Daniel Nahmod a nod. And I want to welcome everybody. If you're a visitor here or out there, that you are in the right place at the right time. All right.
One, two.
My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome. To make sure we know what we're doing. Yeah. Ooh. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Come on, guys. Yeah. Oh. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. You know my soul is welcome here. Yeah, my soul is welcome. I want you to know your soul is welcome here. Everybody, your soul is welcome here. That came, my soul is welcome here. Yeah, my soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. You know my soul is welcome here. One more time. My soul is welcome here. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, one of the nice things about being here at Ahiah is I know every person's soul is welcome right here. And I just want to say how fabulous I think Tina Meeks is. And you know, it's not just her. She has 2 kids that are also pretty fabulous. Their name are Perry and Phoebe, and they leave for teen camp on Wednesday. And that is because of Tina and her support of her kids, but it's also because of your support of all of our kids. And so I want to say thank you to the congregation, and I am so looking forward to hearing the stories that Phoebe and Perry and Naama are going to bring back to us from their experience at teen camp. We'll be hearing that in a week or 2. 2 weeks, I think, yeah. So, it's so good to be here with you. I did miss you. Really, I did. You know, but well, I enjoyed the vacation too. Let's just leave it at that. But we've got a new theme. I'm coming back, Reverend Mike. I'm sure I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet from last week, but I am sure that he did a great job. And he's taking a well-deserved rest today, so he might be watching us on TV right now. So if you are, Reverend Mike, thank you so much for all that you do for Ahiah. But we have a new theme for July, and it is called Choosing Freedom Together. And that's because that's what we do, right? We choose, you have to choose freedom. It's not just something that shows up. It's a choice that we make. And when we do it together, it's so much more expansive. You know, I was thinking, as I was writing this talk, that tomorrow is the 4th of July. And it really brought up for me, all of the stuff that I remember from school, right? Because we were taught a whole lot of stuff about the 4th of July and what did it mean. We celebrate the fact that we as a nation gave birth to ourselves in its own way on July 4th, 1776, with the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And, in my childhood, as we learned about all this, we got to learn all sorts of interesting things, like tea parties. We got to learn about a tea party. And we got to learn about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. We got to learn about our founding fathers. Remember those guys? We got to learn some myths about them, things like George Washington cannot tell a lie, I chopped down the cherry tree, which is an absolute fabrication. That absolutely never, ever happened. But it's okay, because that's what happens with history, is it gets mythologized. It becomes larger than life in order for us to kind of get a feel for a particular idea and a way of being. And so, it was quite bold at that time to stand up to King George III, this monarch of England, to break away from England, to do all the things that we had to do in order to make a stand for freedom over tyranny, and to create a society that is a democratic republic that hadn't existed for well over 1,000 years on this planet, since the Greeks and the Romans. And so it is something to celebrate, and yet, this grand experiment, that's what they call it, right? Back in those days, they were calling it a grand experiment. It's turned out, better than it started out with. And maybe, with everything that was so new, we can kind of forgive those guys for their lack of inclusion, so to speak. Because in reality, the founding fathers were making sure that they, the white landed men of this country, were well taken care of. But they forgot a few people along the way. They forgot the women, for instance. They forgot the Native Americans, for sure. And they absolutely forgot the men, women, and children that were enslaved in this country. And yet, when I was sitting and thinking about it last night, I was thinking, it's kind of like an avocado pit, right? When you look at an avocado pit, you know exactly what it is. When you look at that avocado pit, you know that it's not a mustard seed or a tomato seed or an acorn. You know that it's an avocado pit. It's a thing that's distinct, it's hefty in your hand. It's a real thing all by itself. And yet, the intention of that avocado pit is not to be an avocado pit, it's to grow an avocado tree. And so, that's the way I look at that time. I think that we are celebrating the creation of that avocado pit that was the thing that grew into what we have today, which is not fully matured yet. It's a tree that's still growing. It's a tree where freedom is still being brought to more and more people in more expansive ways. And so we get to see how almost, do you realize it's almost 250 years now? Right? 1776, and in 4 more years, it'll be the 250th anniversary of that signing. I remember being around during the bicentennial and never believing I would be around today, right? Because today I would have been so old, right? Oh. And as we progress on, we get to recognize that when we bind anybody, when we do not give the freedom that is natural to anybody, what it does is it binds us too. And so as we learn and grow as a society, what I truly, truly hope is that we can come together to understand and know and desire naturally freedom for everyone in all the ways that that shows up. One drop at a time. One drop at a time. So we're going to talk a lot more about freedom overall for the rest of this month. We have 5 Sundays this month, so we'll be talking about it for a while. But I want to start out today by talking about free to be me. I want to talk about individual freedoms today. What does that look like? How does it show up in our lives? How can we express freedom more fully in our lives? And so as we focus on our own selves and on the freedom that we are, what I was realizing was there's a lot of similarity between how love shows up in our lives and how freedom shows up in our lives. For instance, there's an old saying that in order to love somebody else, we have to love ourselves fully. Right? Anybody heard that saying? I believe that's kind of true. Not 100% in all cases, but I do believe as we love ourselves more fully, we are able to love other people more fully, that's for sure. And it's the same with freedom, I think. As we have to be free ourselves in order to be able to free other people around us, in order to cut the bonds that we have that sometimes we tie other people to us. Eartha Kitt, you remember Eartha Kitt? She's a singer from, back in the early days, the 60s, 70s, 80s, I guess. And she said this. It's not from a song, it's actually one of her quotes. And she says, it's all about falling in love with yourself. This is about love. And sharing that love with someone who appreciates you, rather than looking for love to compensate for a self-love deficit. Self-love deficit, right? And sometimes that's the way we look at love, is we don't really feel like we have enough self-love. And so we go and we try and fill that hole with other people's love. And it's kind of similar. So I took that statement and I rewrote it a little bit for freedom. And so that's showing on our screen right now. And it says, it's all about freeing yourself and sharing that freedom all around you rather than looking to be freed by others to compensate for the lack of our own personal freedom. So what we're saying here is that we have to recognize that we are in charge of our own freedom. We can't get freedom from somebody else. It just doesn't work too well. Even though we try it all the time, it doesn't really work. So why are we not free? I spent some time this week thinking back to my childhood, because so many of our beliefs, so many of the things that we live our lives from come from those beliefs that were kind of put in as a child. And so I always like to go back and think about what was I taught as a child about freedom? And it was really clear to me as I was thinking about it, I was taught one thing: money sets you free. Anybody resonate with that? I heard a couple of chitters out there. So yeah, money sets you free. That's what I was told in my family. So in other words, the lack of money chains you. right? And wow, I did experience times in my life as a child with no money, pork and beans and wieners for weeks at a time. And, we never were homeless or anything like that. It never got to that point. But there were lots of times when we really didn't have much money. And so when I set a goal as a child, I recognized after trying a few schemes to free myself in other ways it didn't work, I decided, okay, education. Education is the way out of this hole. It's the way to get out and to make money, because money's my way to freedom, and freedom was so, so important to me. I moved out of the house when I was 17 in order to be free. My kids would have stayed around forever. So, it's just different ways of being. It's okay. But for me, freedom was really important, and so I set my star by how do I go and get an education, and I did, and I got one of the best educations you can get in this land, which means I got one of the best ones in the world, and I went out and I made a ton of money, which isn't a bad thing. I like money, personally. And yet, there came a time in my job about 23 years in where it switched from I loved going to work to I wasn't quite so happy being there anymore. And what I recognized at that moment was that I had golden handcuffs on, right? Everybody's heard that term. It just means that, you're paid so well doing what you're doing that even if you don't like it anymore, you're not going to change. You are cuffed to that job. And the way that I got cuffed to that job was that as I made all that money, I became comfortable spending that money that I was making. And I became uncomfortable not spending that money that I was making. And so what I've done over the last, years, decade, is I have been reconfiguring my understanding of money. Right? What's important to me? What's not important to me? Why do I want money for what? And why do I want that? And as I've gotten more clear on what it is that's relatively important to me, the importance of having so much money has plummeted. To be quite honest, I live on half the amount of money that I made at the heyday, right? And happily. I am much happier than I was then. Much, much happier than I was. And so what I'm saying is, we free ourselves. The golden handcuffs was an illusion. Just like before, as a child, the need for money that I had then was an illusion. They're both illusions. We can be free exactly where we are in this moment. So, this idea of free to be me, it's a perfect topic for coming back from vacation, right? Because I've had, 9 days in Mexico to think about, what does it mean to be free to be me? Because during those 9 days, I flipped all those switches off, right? All the things that I normally do. And that's what vacation should be like, right? It should be personal vacation. It should be a personal journey where you take away all the things that you normally have to do. And you go somewhere else and you do something different. And so I did that, and I turned off the email. Didn't read an email for 9 days. Woo! What an idea. And I didn't worry about my kids for 9 days. Yeah. Perfectly good. I know they're taken care of. I had, I had my dog at his favorite dog sitter, and so I knew he was happy. There was absolutely nothing I needed to think about at the time except for what I was doing in that moment. And what freedom to be who I was in that moment. And I think that's something that we can learn from. I think it's something that we can recognize that that's true for us. It can be true for us in all times. Even when the email switches on and the kids are in your lap, right? It's okay. And so, one thing I've noticed, I've thought a lot about freedom, and one thing that I've noticed is that oftentimes the chains that people have on themselves around freedom has to do with untruths they tell themselves. I'll give you an example. So back when I was 21 years old, I was in a phase of kind of couch hopping. I was going to school. I had a job, but I didn't have the money to get my own apartment, and so I would, I had a roommate, and then we all split up and went somewhere else, and I ended up having to, hop around on some couches. And at that time, I used to go to this little neighborhood bar, and I met this guy who was about 15 years older than I was, and I'd play pool, and I'd go over and I'd talk to him, and months went by and everything was great. He was a nice guy, and he told me that he had a room and that his roommate was moving out. Would I like to replace his roommate? And I said, yeah, sure, fine. And it was good. Now, my relationship with this particular guy was just at the bar. And every time I saw him at the bar, he was a little bit inebriated. Yeah. But I thought, well, it's a bar. What else do? You drink at a bar, and no big deal. Well, I moved in, and it didn't take me very long to figure out that he actually was inebriated quite a bit. In fact, he was drunk every night, basically. And but it was a really good deal for me at that moment. It was, he was offering a low rate of rent. He helped me to get a job at his company. There was all sorts of benefits out of this situation. And so I didn't want to say anything to him. But about 6 months in, we got to know each other pretty well. We were getting along fine. And I thought, I'll say something. And I asked him one night, I said, Bill, I said, do you think you might be an alcoholic? I was young, I was young. And he turned to me and he said, an alcoholic? No, he says, I only drink a fifth of gin a week. And I went, in my mind, I didn't say this to him, but I thought, and a gallon of Gallo every night. Now, we lived together for 2 years. I went off to UCI and ended up in other things. We left really good friends. And he helped me so much to get order in my life and allow me to launch that dream of a good education. And the good news is that it didn't happen while I was there, but shortly after I left, he ended up with a situation at his work where if he didn't sober up, they were going to terminate him. And so he became sober, and the last I talked to him, he'd been sober for over 20 years. And yeah. And so, but the thing is what was he doing in that moment? I only drink a fifth of gin a week, right? It was a lie. It was a half-truth. It was true, right? He only drank a fifth of gin a week, but he conveniently forgot about everything else. And we so often do that to ourselves. We tell ourselves half-truths. We say something that is true, but we leave all the other things out. And what I'm saying is that, in that process of half-truths, we're really not telling ourselves and not allowing ourselves to find the true freedom that is naturally ours. Brene Brown, it's just really important for us to tell the truth and to explore our lives with that light of truth on. Brene Brown, who I think we all know, she's a great, great writer. She's a great researcher, very modern. She's writing books all the time. I'm starting to read her book that came out last year. And she said, "I now see how owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do." It's the bravest thing that we can ever do for ourselves is just to own our story, to tell the truth about our story. There was a book that I read about 20 some years ago when I was having my own kind of dark period in my life. I was getting ready to get out of one relationship, that I'd been in for 11 years. And I'd been telling a bunch of lies to myself. A bunch of half-truths. And I read a book by Orson Scott Card. I don't remember what the title of the book is, but the premise, part of the premise of the story was that the main character of the book had a dog, and his thought was he could lie to anybody, he could lie to himself, but he wouldn't lie to the dog. And dogs are safe because they're not going to tell anything. They're not going to tell anybody. But isn't it a wonderful way to actually tell ourselves the truth? Go talk to your dog. Go talk to your cat. Go get a hamster. Whatever it is. That ability to just have something in your life that you really tell the truth to, the absolute truth to, that will set you free. That's part of the key to the freedom of being me, being truly who I am. So how do we feel when we're free? I think I went to Ernest Holmes for this one, and he's the founder of our philosophy, and he says this. He says, our three greatest needs are to feel that we are needed, wanted, and loved, to feel that we belong to the universe in which we live. He doesn't say that we are needed, wanted, and loved. He says that we feel that we are needed, wanted, and loved. Because how do you measure those things? How do you measure freedom, for instance? It's really hard to say, when I get past here, this point in the sand right here, I'm going to be free. It doesn't really work that way in my experience. But I can feel free or not feel free. And so as we look to see whether we're free or not, what we need to do is look to see whether we feel like we are free. And if we feel like we are free, then what I'm saying is we are free. That's the indicator that says we are free. And so, we live a life that is simple in nature if we run it that way. How am I feeling right now? Am I feeling trapped? Or am I feeling free? And, I teach a class called Financial Freedom every couple of years. And one of the things I love about that class is it tells us that our belief, if we should choose between beliefs, if you have, two beliefs that are in front of you, and you're trying to choose which one do you want to believe more. The one you want to believe more, it says, is to believe the one that sets you free. The one that makes you more free is the belief that we should be moving towards. And so, when we live this simple life, when we live it simply, when we live it easily, one of the things that I'll tell you is not true of a simple life. I got lost in my double negatives there, so let me say that again. What I'd like to say is, what is true of a simple life is there are no scheming. I grew up on scheming. It was in my mother's milk. My mother was such a schemer. She really was. God bless her. God rest her soul. I love my mother, and she was quite the schemer. And she always had schemes. Remember that in my family, money would set you free. And so her schemes were always about getting money. Some people would have called her a grifter, I think. Oh, dear. But, I know that that when we live a life that doesn't have those schemes, you guys know what I mean by that, right? When we're trying to make life show up in a particular way, we start getting in our heads about, oh, well, if I do this, then they'll do that. And if they do that, then I could get them to do this. It's a scheme. It's a way of making life show up the way we want it to. But as a retired schemer, I gotta say that there is so much energy that goes into those schemes, which means that there is so little freedom that goes into those schemes. Giving up scheming has been the best part of my life. And if I can do that, then I'll feel free. I feel so much more free today than I did 20-some years ago. And that's how I know that this is the way, for me at least, and I hope that it works for you too, to just find more personal freedom, to choose the path of being free to be me. It's all about living our lives from this place of what makes me more free. And so, as I recognize that Spirit is all that Spirit is, as I recognize the oneness that there is in Spirit, it moves me towards who I was meant to be. I was meant to be free. You were meant to be free. And so, free to be me just means that I am that life that Spirit is. And as I align myself more and more and more with all that Spirit is, freedom becomes the natural aspect of me. And so I have an affirmation for us today. It's showing up on the screen here. So if you'll just go ahead and repeat this with me. The Spirit I am loves freedom. Let's say that again. The Spirit I am loves freedom. And so as you go out into your week this week, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to focus on your own freedom. Focus on your own freedom in the way that you recognize that nobody can give you freedom. You have to claim it for yourself. You have to know it to be true for yourself. You have to claim it for yourself. And then go out and own your own personal story. And we do that by telling ourselves no lies. And then feel free. How do I feel free? As Ernest Holmes says, feel that we are needed, wanted, and loved. feel that we belong to this universe, this life that is God, this life that is all there is, if I feel that, then I will truly be free. And as always, if you're not quite sure which way to go, what to choose, how to go about it, just let Spirit guide you. Thank you, and namaste. And so I invite you to just take a deep breath with me. Let it go. As I say a prayer that just anchors this freedom, this idea of freedom in for each and every one of us. I know absolutely that this life, this power, this presence that we call Spirit is all that there is. It is the life magnificent. It is the life that I constantly stand in awe of. It is the life that is infinite and beyond all human nature. It is a power greater than I am. And what I know is that I can use it and that it can use me. And so as I'm knowing that to be the truth for myself, I know it to be the truth for each and every one of us here and those of you who are online, that this life that we call Spirit it's all-encompassing. It is the love and the peace and the joy that fills this world to full and overflowing. And so it's the truth of us, too. We are that same love, that same peace, that same joy, and absolutely the same freedom that God is. And so it's from that place of knowingness that I speak my word as the truth of each and every one of us today, knowing that this life that is God, that moves through us and as us, is the ultimate freedom that we all are. And that freedom, it just moves through our lives with ease and with grace. It moves through us and as us as we know absolutely that the freedom that God is means that we have all of our needs met easily, effortlessly, with all the source, the infinite source that God is. We have everything that we need naturally imbued within us. We can move through our lives, move through our dreams, move through all that we want to express, and Spirit just says yes. It supports us in its infinite nature, in its divine givingness. And so it just says yes to the yes that we say inside of us. And for knowing that truth, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. So now is the time for our conscious contributions. And so I'm going to ask the ushers to come forward. If you're online, I know that many of you have already given virtually, and if you haven't yet, there are 3 ways to do that. We have ahiah.com/donate is an easy way to give through Breeze or through GiveButter. And then we also have a text to give, which is 616-229-2225. Just text the word give to that number, and it will walk you through putting in your information. And then you can always send a check here to 150 North El Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101. And if you want to just send me a little note, I love getting those notes, and it really perks me up each week. If you're here today, there are offering envelopes in the pews that you can put your conscious contribution in, and the ushers have been, looks like they've already come by. So let's go ahead and say our blessings so we can take our offering and kind of virtually put it to our chest, to our heart. And I have the blessing here on the screen. Let's read along together. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. So I'd like to ask Tina to come on up. And I think Jackie's going to sing along with her.
Yeah, we want to do something fun. One that you know, we're going to do together. But it kind of helps to have everybody joining in a little bit with us, okay?
All right.
So.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. One more time. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Come on, Jim. Sunshine, he's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that goes to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel that room like out of roof. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm alone. If you know what happiness is to you. I'm alone. If you feel that that's what you want to do. Here come bad news talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold back. Yeah, well, I should probably warn you I'll be just fine. Yeah, no offense to you, don't waste your time. And here's why, because I'm happy and belong. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy and belong. If you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. Up, head down, can't nothing, come on, bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. My level's too high to bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. My level's too high to bring me down. Can't nothing. I'm gonna tell you because I'm happy and alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy and alone. If you feel that happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy and alone. If you feel that happiness is you. If you feel that that's what you want to do. Hey, happy, happy, happy. Okay, happy, happy, happy. Your love is too high. Happy, happy, yeah, hey, hey. Happy, hey, hey. Happy, happy, hey. Happy, happy. Hey, can't bring me down. No, no, no. Can't bring me down. My level's too high. Happy, 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 happy. Because I'm happy. Happy, y'all. Yeah. I hope you're happy.
So, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Ben. I think I'm happy too. It's a good way to get us going for the 4th of July, isn't it? Yeah. Fireworks already going in your guys' neighborhood? They started last night in my neighborhood. Yeah. I'll have to be at home. My dog has finally started. He's 4 years old. This is the first year he's started to actually pay attention to the fireworks. So I'll probably be staying at home tomorrow night. But anyway, I want to see the kids. I see a couple of teenagers over there. Let's go ahead and have them come on up.
Good morning.
I gotta get over here so I can see it.
First, we just want to say how excited we are that we go to camp on Wednesday. And so, yeah. We're very excited about that. We did a lot of talking about that. And so our theme this month is Wonderful Me. And we talked about how we are all expressions of God, uniquely us, and that we get to create our life. And so we talked about how we do that by what we think and do and say is how we create our reality. And that, I'm stumbling, I have no idea why. And then what happens with those thoughts is they expand. And so to give an example of expansion, did you bring your balloon? Okay. I asked them a question of who are they right now in this moment? And they thought I was going to ask 5 questions, but I actually asked the same question 5 times, and they had to write that down. Then they wrote it down on a deflated balloon, and then we blew the balloon up, and we looked at the words, and we got to choose if those are really the words that we want to blow up and expand in our life. And so some of us decided that we might want to alter that, and so we did it again. And also part of those choices is being free of not believing those things that we don't want to expand, and we have the power to do that. So we wanted to show what that felt like. Do you feel free right now, Phoebe? No. You feel like you could go out and do whatever you normally do? No. So what would you like to do about it? Get out of it then. There you go. Thank you. That's it for us. We like visuals.
Yes, we do. I don't know, guys. I think next week we just all end up in the kids area, you know?
All the fun is.
All right. Next week, Lisa is going to be off with the teens at teen camp, but Malachi will be here, and Rachel will be here. And so we'll have a lively youth program going on no matter what, right? Because we are committed to our youth for sure. And so next up, I want to play a thing with Nancy Johnson.
This is Nancy Johnson with a reminder. Good morning, Ahiah family. This is Nancy Johnson with a reminder about our back-to-school drive with Friends Indeed. The children in our community need our generous help. Last year, Friends Indeed gave out over 300 backpacks with school supplies, and they expect even more need this year. Please look for a follow-up email with a detailed list of supplies needed. The final day for supplies or cash donations is Sunday, July 17th. Please consider picking up some school supplies or donating cash online at ahiah.com, and I will purchase school supplies for you. Any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and feel free to call me if you need assistance. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Nancy. This is an annual event that we do each and every year. We support Friends Indeed in it. And so on the front page of our website at ahiah.com, you'll find a button to donate to the backpack drive. And I've already donated. Have you? Probably not. But we'll also be sending out, as she said, a newsletter this week that gives you, it'll be a special edition that gives you some directions on what are the things that they're looking for. And it'll have a convenient link to go donate if you want to give cash and have Nancy go by. So Let's see, last month we did a white resiliency workshop, and we're going to do it again in August. So white resiliency is about getting past white fragility, which is really the way that we've been taught and ingrained in us as white folks to support racism, whether we want it or not. It's just that unconscious bias that is there. And so with white resiliency, what we're doing is we're working through the process of how do we work through that in a place that is safe for white folks. It is for people who identify as white. We're going to work through whatever issues are showing up. And we're going to have Reverend Jane Midgley there as our guest of honor again. She'll be guiding us through some exercises just like the last time we did it. So go ahead and put this date on your calendar. It is August 1st from 6:30 to 8:30 on Zoom. And then I mentioned to you guys last time I was up here that we've got an ordination coming up for me. So the date is September 24th. It's at 1 o'clock. It's right here at Ahiah. I would love to see each and every one of you there. It would really warm my heart. We're going to be doing a wonderful thing how many were here for my installation? It'll be similar to that. So there will be a lot of folks that we're inviting in from outside churches, a lot of ministers and all. Practitioners will be coming, people that I know from all over the place. And, it's just a way of me being wedded to being a minister, I think is what they think of it. So I really want to invite you to that. And then would you like to say something about the concert, or do you just...
I don't.
No, but she will.
Somehow, Reverend Scott always has a way of getting me here. And I just don't know why. And if it's not him, it's Reverend Michael. So along with the ordination, there will be a fundraising concert. I am not going to tell you who the performers will be, because I want you to wait and see. So we are looking at a venue. We will have a major production, and it's going to be really, really exciting. So we expect it to be that same day around 4 o'clock, and you just are going to have to wait and find out what we're planning for you. But get excited, because I'm excited.
Me too. Thank you, Marcia. She's always such a good sport. And I just want to remind you that our Hollywood Bowl tickets will have seats there that we're selling tickets for right now. That is the 28th of August. And so you can buy those on our website. And then we also have a Dodger game that's all the way out in September 7th, that we're going to and selling tickets for that too. So, if you were interested in either one of those, go check out the website. And then I want to remind you, we have a lot of wonderful practitioners here. Would the practitioners who are here today, would you go ahead and stand up so everybody knows who you are? We have Lisa, Jackie, Marcia, and Chris, and Frederick in the back. And so if there's anything that's heavy on your heart, you want to have a little bit of prayer, or you just want to celebrate with someone, something that's happening, the fact that you're alive and doing well and feeling good, that's a great time to anchor that in with prayer too. So any of these folks, including me, would love to pray with you afterwards. If you want to do a practitioner session with anybody or talk to one of our practitioners quickly on the phone, you can get their information by going to ahiah.com/meetourpractitioners. And we also have a way for you to submit a prayer online, a prayer request online, which is only ever seen by the ministers and practitioners here at Ahiah. And we will pray for you, and you can go to ahiah.com/prayers for that. And we also have a dial-a-prayer. It's just an uplifting message. It's got a reading and a prayer. We put out a new one each week, and you can get to it on the website and also by calling the central number and pressing option 7. So, tomorrow is the 4th of July. And you see I'm wearing my red, white, and blue, right? So I'm being very patriotic. I'm going to go out and have some fun. I'm not quite sure how yet, but I'm going to go out and have some fun with one of my sons, or many of my sons, I'm not sure. And my dog. My dog, too. So we're going to have some fun, and I will see you guys next week. Let's go ahead and say the benediction together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it, and I share it. Just the way it appears, and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. It's been so good to be here with you guys today. If you want to, I will be available for fellowship here, as well as I'll be zooming in for the folks who are online. So I would love to chat with you online too. However that goes, I'm so glad that you made it here today. And I hope to see you next week. I love you guys. Namaste.